Urban Explorer of Reddit. What was your I better get the duck out story? I was exploring an abandoned mine shaft for the second day in a row. This was in a small, old Midwestern town that used to be booming from the mining industry, but has long been abandoned. It was also a 10-minute walk from the nearest road. This time I went with different friends and better flashlights. The door I had gone through the first day was now padlocked shut. That should been the first red flag. But we found an entrance from the rooftop into one of the main buildings and continued to explore anyway. After exploring about 3 floors of mine shaft below ground, we were back on the main floor exploring the workshop garage, and I was looking through the cracks of light coming through the rusted metal walls when I noticed a bright color that stood out from the rest of the area. It was a man looking back at me through the cracks. I was seeing his blue sweater. I could see 2 sets of eyes looking into the room that we were in. After whispering to my friends that there were people watching us through the wall, we ducking booked it out of there and jumped off the roof and into the woods. The men were in a pickup truck and drove around looking for us. Even getting out of the truck to look around, we couldn't see them from where we took cover, but we could hear the truck stop, the doors open, and footsteps breaking leaves and twigs only 20 feet away from us. We hid there for about 15 minutes while the men searched all around for us. It is harder than most people think to try and quiet your breathing after sprinting. It was terrifying. I'm not going back there. When me and my friends were young, we lived in a trailer park community in a bad part of Phoenix. But we loved exploring anyway. We found a large old storm drain behind our community covered in graffiti and weeds, and we decided to explore. Walking in with mini flashlights, we kept seeing spots of blood and more strange graffiti. After about 30-ish minutes we started hearing tapping. We got scared and started to walk back out. When we noticed it seemed to be following us, we ran like our lives depended on it. A few weeks after that, our community manager discovered a body near the entrance of the storm drain. That was the last of our exploring. I was exploring an old storm water filtration plant once. The lower levels of the main buildings were all flooded, which was super creepy, and it was pretty overgrown. This was my second time there, and I wanted to see more than I had last time. A friend of mine and I had the bright idea to climb into one of the pipes that had an open manhole cover, really stupid for a whole bunch of reasons. We figured we had a pretty good guess where it would come out, as there was another manhole on the other side of the compound in line with where the pipe was heading. When we got all the way there though, it turned out to be welded shut. The worst bit was, when we turned to go back, we realized we'd been slowly going downhill. The pipe was fairly slimy, and it seemed for a minute like we wouldn't be able to go back the way we'd come. I've never quite felt that level of claustrophobia before or since. My sister was exploring an abandoned mental institution near where we live, and she found a basement with no graffiti or anything. The place hadn't been used for decades. So finding a place without a dick sprayed on every surface was enough of a creepy horror movie moment for her to dip. Not terribly urban. Back when I lived in the rural south, but my friend and I went to an abandoned trailer because she wanted to show me all the old Playboys that were left lying around in it. There were pentagrams painted on the front door and on one wall of the bedroom that was through the kitchen. But that wasn't too spooky. My brother was one of those edgy teenagers, and I had seen more than enough crookedly spray painted pentagrams to know it was just idiots goofing off. No a-hole here. The scary part was the half-dead cat hung by its back legs from the ceiling fan in the back room down the hall. We went to take it down so we could call the cops and then hopefully get to bury it at her house and give it some peace. And then it woke up and started squalling. It scratched me on my arms and her on the face and tried to get away, but it was so weak all it could do was stagger. We eventually got it wrapped in my shirt and walked home to explain to her mom where we were and how it happened. That crotchety old cat lived like another 6 years with no teeth. Dislocated back legs fixed by the vet of course. But the cat still limped forever and horrible cataracts. Was exploring an abandoned TB hospital. Heard a sound that sounded a lot like a homeless person snoring. It took a while for my friends and I to work up the courage to go in the room where we heard it, but we were rewarded with the sight of a vulture's nest. Boy oh boy do I have a story. Went urban exploring in an abandoned college campus. Was pretty cool. Due to be demolished, and there was some really nice graffiti. At the time I kept sending video messages to a friend of me roaming around looking at everything. The way the area was set up was pretty much a singular building in this giant lot with nothing on it. Right in the middle with it being open area about 100 meters either way. The building was 3 stories, and on the ground floor had an open area where there appeared to be an abandoned car. So I was messing around looking at this graffiti and the random junk everywhere, and recording videos for my friend. When I finally went to record the graffiti right next to the car, I started filming a video of the graffiti when what do you know? The car turns on. I immediately throw my hands up and point towards the gate to gesture sorry didn't realize someone was here. I'll be on my way. When the guy starts blaring on the horn and starts revving the engine. At this point I'm startled and decide to gun it down the driveway back to the gate, and what do you know, he starts speeding after me in the car whilst still blaring on the horn. Due to being startled and running, I apparently accidentally hit send to the video I took on my phone to my friend, while still captioning it 11:11 as I was running away. I have the video saved if anyone's curious. At this point I was right in the headlights with him right behind, so I turned off the driveway and ran over a pile of rocks. Falling down on my way down the other side of them, scratched my knee really badly. Glasses went flying off and got scratched up too. I get the glasses and sprint more like hobble quickly to the fence where there's some bush covering. The guy pulls up nearby and winds down the window, and you could smell the car from how far I was. It was putrid and the guy for sure looked like he was living out of the car. I have insane adrenaline going and sort of slink further away through the bushes, but can't get over the fence. I figured I could wait the guy out. I was there for around 20 minutes whilst he sat there with his car idling. By this point my friend was practically having a panic attack thinking I just got murdered, and my adrenaline was wearing off and the pain from my leg was setting in, so I couldn't climb the fence and get away quickly without him noticing. My friend was messaging me like crazy asking if I was okay, and she ended up driving to the place to rescue me. She pulled up a bit up the street and the guy drove up towards there, which gave me the chance to climb the fence. She rushed down to where I had said I was, picked me up, and we drove off. Never have I been so scared in my life, and have never appreciated someone more. Went exploring in an old textile mill in rural Alabama. It was easy enough to hide your car for parking, and you could even pull your car onto the site if you had 4-wheel drive. We went often, and one time parked right in the middle of the mill's backlot and decided to climb the ladders to the roof. Once we got to the roof the sun started setting, so we got our headlamps ready, watched the sunset, then decided to head back down from the roof. As we are walking to the ladder my car alarm down below starts going off, and immediately from the rooftop across from us someone flashed a flashlight at us, but they never said a thing. I was way too nervous about my car being stolen to really care about the other person, but they didn't chase us, yell, nothing. They just kept their light on us so that we could never see them, and followed us with their light. Today I learned we got into the car and left. I never went back after that. It's torn down now. I convinced a group of about 5 or so of my friends to go with me into this old house that was in an odd sort of industrial area, like on one of those service roads next to a highway. The only way in was to go through the basement and through a hole in the wall at the top of the stairs. After exploring for a while I thought I'd do a scout mission for fun that involved me just walking around the house to check for cops. Well, what do you know? There were cop cars just pulling into the street with sirens on that were pulling into the restaurant next door. Someone probably reported us. The exit was on the other side of the house from the cops. I quickly called up to the others to climb back out, and we somehow managed. I don't generally believe in intuition, but I do find it odd that I had the urge to do a sweep right when the cops showed up. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.